Не могли бы вы сказать, как вы представляете будущее всего мира?
Нам, всем советским людям, нужен крепить только мир. Он нам нужен, больше ничего.
Ну, чтоб все росло, расцветало у нас. Люди, чтобы жили очень хорошо, прекрасно в нашей стране.
Весь мир я представляю, что через 20 лет объединится и будет как одно целое, нерушимое, дружба у всех, как у советских людей, так и у всех.
Основная нерешенная проблема – это проблема разоружения. Конечно, угроза войны, которая нам не нужна, ее, конечно, не будет.
Ну, я думаю, что сейчас в данном случае договорятся о разоружении. Ну и эти средства огромные, которые употреблялись на гонку вооружений, пойдут на благо народа.
Мы убеждены, больше не придется бояться войны. Особенно мне, как строителю, это очень важно, потому что наша задача строить. И главное, по-моему, чтобы в ближайшее время было достигнуто соглашение между всеми странами мира, чтобы можно было спокойно жить и работать без тревоги за будущее.
Дело получил хороший. Дети есть. Вот дочке 3 года, и скоро сын будет на днях. Ты так предполагаешь, что сын может еще одна дочка.
Хорошо. Очень хорошо. Хорошо. Очень хорошо. Мы говорим со своей эпохой. Мы говорим мир и строительство, строительство и мир.
So as you could see, this film is a very interesting combination of sort of the personal and the collective, and the poetic documentary in this very early stage was really trying to tackle these two issues, and that is the subject sort of throughout this program. You would see how the filmmakers are trying more and more towards capturing subjectivity rather than the external world in which people live. But the next one that we're going to see is called I Serve the Soviet Union, and you can also see in this one how there is a combination of the Soviet and the subjective, the individual. In this regard, I don't really want to say too much about the film itself, but I want to say about the context in which it was produced. So this film is from 1966, and it was made at Kirghizfilm, which is a film studio in Kyrgyzstan, or in the Republic of Kyrgyzia in Central Asia. And it became, from about mid-1960s, it became one of the hubs of poetic documentary. And it was a very international community of filmmakers. At the Riga studio, most of the filmmakers are from Latvia and ethnically Latvian. In Kyrgyzia, you had a mix of ethnicities, a mix of people coming from all over the Soviet Union. So this film is made by an ethnic Kyrgyz filmmaker, Melis Ubukeev. But the next one that we're going to see was made by a Lithuanian filmmaker, Uldis, who lived in Kyrgyzia. So in this regard, this film is a good example of what was called, or can be called in some way, sort of a national quote unquote cinema within, because as you know, Soviet cinema was a combination of subnational cinemas, because basically each republic had its own studio, and in the 1960s and 1970s that was basically the peak of film production in those republics. There was this famous formula for Soviet art, which says that Soviet art should be socialist in content and national in form. So perhaps this is what I want you to keep in mind while watching this film, and maybe thinking of how the filmmaker is trying to reconcile these two things and two identities in the narrative of the film.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've got my special finger on.
Oh.